The Trump administration has announced a new rule that would limit legal immigration by imposing a wealth test. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Trump has many racist conspiracy theories about immigrants. He thinks they're being funded by shadowy groups. He thinks it's a plot to invade America. And he's pretty sure at least one of his sons snuck in from Transylvania. Secret Service, he's out of his coffin again. Trump also has this insane theory that other countries are somehow rigging the visa lottery system to put their worst people in the lottery. He's repeated it many times, including at a rally earlier this month.
How about the lottery system? How about lotteries? You put the name in a basket. The country puts the name in the basket, and you pick people out of the lottery. Well, let's see, this one's a murderer. This one robbed 4 banks. This one, I better not say, it's kidding. This one, another murderer. Ladies and gentlemen, another murderer.
It sounds like he's picking his cabinet. Bank robber. Oh, a murderer. Oh, you guys. You guys, we got a cannibal. But Trump continued.
Think of this. Do you think they're going to put their great citizens? They have great citizens. They have great people, like we have great people. Do you think those people are going into a lottery? No. And then we get these people coming in. You just take a look. Look at the people they put into these lotteries.
That's not how it works. Countries don't put people into lotteries. People enter themselves. And it's not murderers saying, the police are closing in. I better make my escape by entering a random drawing. This is one of Trump's favorite insane conspiracy theories, and he's repeated it countless times throughout his presidency.
They have a lottery. You pick people. Do you think the country's given us their best people? No. Visa lottery. Visa lottery. Boom. Who is this? Who is this? And then when they turn out to be not so good, we say, I wonder why. Well, maybe the country's giving us their worst in those lotteries. Does that make any sense? They give it a lottery. You pick people. Now, let me ask you. So these countries that are sending people in, do you think they're sending us their finest? And then we wonder why we have problems. We're not going to be a stupid country anymore.
We're still very much the stupid country. Stupid is our brand. Obama made us cool, you made us stupid. One of the other problems here is, unlike more complicated terms, Trump thinks he knows what a lottery is, so even though he's wrong, he's trying to flex his muscles. I'm surprised he didn't just start talking about scratch-offs at some point. And they give you a card, and you use a dime. Ideally, worst case, your thumb, and you just start scratching. And if you get 3 matching flags, that's your new home. That's how it works in a lottery! A Visa lottery. Trump feeds his supporters these racist conspiracy theories to make them think that undeserving immigrants are coming here and draining our public resources, which is a bigoted lie. And now he's taking that lie one step further by implementing a new rule that will basically institute a wealth test in order to limit legal immigration.
A major policy change by the Trump administration is trying to dramatically limit legal immigration into the U.S. The so-called public charge rule would make it more difficult for people who are, again, here legally, but rely on some form of government assistance. Medicaid, food stamps, housing vouchers, some of the examples. It would make it harder for them to get a green card. The new criteria favors wealthier, more educated immigrants.
The National Immigration Law Center calls the new rule a wealth test on immigrants.
I don't think it's fair to have the American taxpayer paying for people to come into the United States. I am tired of seeing our taxpayer paying for people to come into the country and immediately go on to welfare and various other things. So I think we're doing it right.
So now you're suddenly concerned about wasting taxpayers' money? You've already spent more than $100 million just on golf trips. And I have one very simple fix for this. We don't need to stop paying for his golf. We just need to stop paying for his golf cart. Because just imagine how fast he would lose interest if he had to walk. This sucks. I'm gonna play a sport. I'm gonna play a sport where you don't have to move so much, like grass luge. This is fundamentally antithetical to everything that America's supposed to stand for. In fact, that ethos is famously etched on the Statue of Liberty in the Emma Lazarus poem, The New Colossus. Yesterday, Trump's acting director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Ken Cuccinelli, was asked on NPR about that poem and said this.
Would you also agree that Emma Lazarus's words etched on the Statue of Liberty, "Give me your tired, your poor," are also part of the American ethos?
They certainly are. Give me your tired and your poor who can stand on their own 2 feet and who will not become a public charge.
First of all, you can't just rewrite the poem, especially a poem on a plaque. Once it's on a plaque, it's the thing. The sign says no smoking, not no smoking, but also smoking. Second, you want them to stand on their own 2 feet? Trump can't stand on his own 2 feet. Look at him. He's like a drunk guy trying real hard to pretend he's sober. Trump is doing this for 2 reasons. 1, he's a racist, and racism is at the core of his immigration policy. And 2, he can't deliver on any of the other promises he's made to voters. That's why his administration inflicts cruelty on desperate migrant families, like when they conducted the largest single-state immigration raid in history last week and separated children from their parents. Meanwhile, he can't actually do anything to help the people he promised to help, the so-called forgotten men and women of America, the working class he claimed he'd champion. He told them he'd fix everything and that it would be so easy, you know, like health care.
We're going to get you something so good, so much less expensive, so much better. You know, it's better and less expensive. That's a good combination. You're going to have such great health care at a tiny fraction of the cost, and it's going to be so easy.
As a general rule, never take advice from a guy in a camouflage hat with orange font, because it's a weird choice. I mean, I get the orange, but not the words, you know? You've never seen a hunter going into the woods in camo gear with bright orange writing that says, "I am a hunter." Now, a universal healthcare system that guarantees healthcare as a human right is possible, as many industrialized nations and Democrats running for president have shown, but Trump made the promise without having any clue what he was talking about. And then, of course, once it came time to come up with an actual plan, like any con artist, he tried to talk in circles until people forgot what he'd promised.
This will be a plan where you can choose your doctor. This will be a plan where you can choose your plan. And you know what the plan is? This is the plan.
My God. He always sounds like he's playing Taboo, and he can't think of a second clue that's not like it's a plan, you know, like a plan, it's a plan, you know, a plan. The word was plan. I was cheating. I was cheating the whole time. Then there was Trump's promise to save manufacturing jobs. During a stop in Ohio 2 years ago, he told residents he would single-handedly save their manufacturing plants. In fact, he literally told the people at his rally who were worried about losing their jobs not to move.
I rode through your beautiful roads coming up from the airport, and I was looking at some of those big, once incredible job-producing factories, and my wife, Melania, said, "What happened?" I said, "Those jobs have left Ohio. They're all coming back. They're all coming back. Coming back. Don't move. Don't sell your house. Don't sell your house."
If Donald Trump, a man who has gone bankrupt 6 times and is infamous for some of the biggest real estate disasters in history, tells you don't sell your house, sell your house. Trump is the kind of guy who would tell people during a tornado, "You definitely want to be by a window. Be by a window so you can see it. Sometimes they have cows inside." Once again, you'll never guess what happened. A plant nearby in Lordstown closed in March. Then when the cruel reality of Trump's empty promises came crashing down on the workers he promised to help, all Trump could do was offer a useless tweet. And once again, he clearly had no idea how to deliver on his promise.
Just spoke to Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, about the Lordstown, Ohio plant. "I am not happy that it is closed when everything else in our country is booming. I asked her to sell it or do something quickly. She blamed the UAW union. I don't care. I just want it open."
Hey, you told them not to sell their homes. A tweet whining that you're not happy isn't good enough. It's like if your buddy told you to invest everything you have in Bitcoin, and then when it crashed, sent you a text that was just a dollar emoji and a surprise face. Also, what do you mean I asked her to do something? Do what? You're the guy who said you were going to save the job. You're supposed to have the ideas. Like a plumber who shows up and takes a look at your toilet and then just screams, "Unclog!" And by the way, that plant in Ohio is far from alone. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, GM idled another plant in Michigan, which might come as a shock to people who were at these Trump rallies in Michigan in 2016.
I've been saying your car industry is being sucked away from Michigan. It's happening. If I'm elected, you won't lose one plant. You'll have plants coming into this country. You're going to have jobs again. You won't lose one plant. I promise you that. I promise you that. So all I say is this. You want to build your plant in Mexico? Have a great time. But if you think you're going to ship your product across the border, which will be a very strong border, by the way, for no tax, no nothing, so we end up with unemployment and we end up with empty plants and factories. And you end up with the money, the jobs, and the plants. You can forget it. And you know what would happen? If you said that right up front, nobody's leaving, folks. You stop it right away. The politicians don't want to say that because most of them are too stupid to even understand it.
They're too stupid. Dude, you're too stupid to spell the word country, your wife's name, and your own name. I mean, imagine if this guy tried meeting his own immigration standards. He has no discernible skills, lost $1 billion, and can't spell his own name. He'd flunk the citizenship test before he even got to the first question. Trump inflicts cruelty on desperate migrants fleeing poverty and violence because first, he's a racist, and racism is at the core of his ideology. And second, he's failed at literally everything else he's promised to do. You need a plan to expand healthcare, save manufacturing jobs. You can't just do it by tweeting or yelling at people, but Trump is
too stupid to even understand it.
This has been A Closer Look.